What? Welcome to Positivity is the Way to Go. He is a co-host of the
Sorry,
Smash
sorry, sorry,
Pod.
sorry, sorry. I know it took a second to connect to the cloud. Now it's recording. So
All
start. Sorry,
right.
one more time. All right,
Welcome to
go.
Positivity is the Way to Go. He is the co-host of the Smash Pod and the co-founder of Smash Up Fantasy Sports. Welcome, my guest today, Christopher Huack. How you doing, man?
I'm good, Dion. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I've been looking for work, man. It's hard out here, in Chicago, man. A lot of people getting laid off, man.
What do you do normally when or what are you
Uh,
looking to do?
well, I'm a marketing guy, man. I got a bachelor's degree from UIC in marketing. So, I'm trying to get into some marketing, maybe administrative work.
Well, awesome. Well, we connect offline. I can see if I can connect to anyone, but marketing's fun. I've had my time there. So
It's less
yeah,
boring than finance and accounting, man.
it is. I end up doing some finance in my job, but it's not my favorite thing. I much prefer strategy and marketing. So and sports. So obviously is what we're here for with Smash Up. But that's exciting stuff.
Yeah, so let's get to it. What do you think about the NFL free agency, man? A lot of stuff happened, What are your thoughts on everything that took place? All the transactions, signings, trades.
So it was a crazy period, right? A lot of big names changed teams. The thing that I kind of struck though by is that I don't know how many of the moves actually have that big of an impact. A lot of receivers moved, but a lot of them are older. So some of the big names, that's Stephon Diggs went to New England. He is 32. That is old for receivers. So he's still a guy that could be like your wide receiver, low end wide receiver two, maybe wide receiver three. But I don't know how much he's gonna do. Like 32 is when guys like Julio Jones fell off, right? Like that's an age a lot of receivers really start to regress. You see the same thing with Cooper Kupp and the Seahawks. 32, he can run a good route. I think he'll still be good as the number two to JSN, but I just don't know how much I trust him. Whether it's like in real life, it's probably good until he gets hurt, and in fantasy, I don't know how much I want to rely on him. Uh, Decent guy to have as again number two, number three receiver, but I think a lot of people think about the name, right? And they want him to be that star he was 2, 3 years ago, and Stafford was throwing to him on every pass. Maybe the biggest one, if he's still got some juice left, is DK Metcalf. Obviously, got traded to the Steelers. Now he's got Aaron Rodgers throwing to him. Rodgers getting towards the end himself. He's 42. We might talk about him a little bit, but still made Adams and Wilson relevant last year. So DK is probably one of the more interesting ones out there on the Steelers.
Yeah, but he don't got nobody throwing on the ball. Aaron Rodgers is old, you know.
He is
He
old. He's old, but he can
and
still throw. He can still throw enough volume. He can still throw good enough deep ball that I think DK may still have a couple years of juice. I mean, DK is still only like 26, which is crazy because he's been around forever. But I think he's still got a couple years of juice left in those legs. He just needs a better quarterback. Geno Smith was really good 2 years ago, but kind of struggled a bit last year.
well, he had his best years on the Pete Carroll though. Now he on the Pete Carroll again, So he probably gonna have a good year, a bounce back year this year, because he familiar with the coaching staff.
I think so. Other than that, I think some of the other additions are probably better for real football than fantasy. Like Devontae Adams, same thing, getting older, might have a little bit of juice left for the Rams and that Sean McVay offense. But when it comes to fantasy, maybe a number two receiver again. But uh, Father Time comes for all of us, which scares me because I'm calling
Well,
these guys old. They're younger than I am. So Dion, I'm getting afraid that I may not be able to I may not be able to go join the NFL next year. I might be too late for me.
how old are you, Chris?
Never ask. You never ask a fantasy expert their
No, you
age.
don't
But
ask women their age or weight. What are you talking about, Chris?
I'll say this: I'm older than DK Metcalf. I'm older than
Okay.
Devontae Adams. So, like I said, I don't know if that's the only thing holding me back from an NFL career, but maybe nearing the end of my opportunity.
You go come out of retirement like Tom Brady and play for the Raiders, next year maybe, You gonna come out the box sports booth and they go like Chris Huack throw the football.
We'll see. I don't know how much worse my arm can be than Aaron Rodgers at this point, so maybe I would have an opportunity.
Yeah, you have some ayahuasca, and chill.
Oh man, I've never done that, but I have a couple of friends who've had like spiritual awakenings and have gone and done like ayahuasca in the desert, and they say it's crazy. So I don't know. Maybe I need to try it at some point, but not my cup of tea so far. We'll see.
So who in fantasy do you think will have the biggest impact and the biggest upside, like from a fantasy point standpoint throughout the whole regular season and maybe the playoffs?
Well, look, I mean, you've got the normal like guys at the top of the draft, like Jamar Chase. You got Saquon Barkley. Maybe I'm a little bit of a homer here, but I think the guy who I think people are sleeping on a little bit to start the year is McCaffrey. This guy was number one in the entire league 2 years ago. The Niners were a bit of a mess last year. He, right at the start of the year wasn't right and had kind of a hamstring injury, even in training camp. Obviously, watch him as training camp continues. But so far, every report is he's 100% healthy, running at full speed, still not particularly old. I think he's got another couple years left in him. And so he's a guy who could, you know, because of fears of injury, he's kind of his ADP right now is in the second round. But I think he's a guy you can grab in that kind of mid first round. Or if you're lucky, get him in that late first round. And he could be like the number one player in football this year.
Yeah, but what about the free agents like maybe Jonnu Smith, with the Steelers, like you think he got a lot of upside from a tight end one standpoint because they got Pat Fryermuth and everything, and they got DK Metcalf like you talking about earlier. And
Yeah, I mean,
Aaron
Smith is an
Rodgers,
interesting
he's an
one.
intermediate quarterback now, and Smith good at that.
So Joe's an interesting one, right? Like he was when he was young, he was a prospect like Kyle Pitts, right? And was also disappointing as he kind of entered the middle of his career. He had a bit of resurgence last year with the Dolphins. Also was pretty good with the Falcons 2 years ago. I don't know. He's a tight end one. I think he's okay. I think if you look at Aaron Rodgers' history, he's never really thrown to his tight end a lot. So I don't know that how high of a ceiling John has. If you're desperate, go for it. But I gotta say, tight end is a weird position. There's only a couple top guys like Brock Bowers, but there's a lot of guys in that middle. So I'm not particularly desperate for a tight end. If I don't get Brock, I think you get Kincaid, McBride. I think there's a bunch of guys in the middle who, and McBride I would love, right? As you go a little further down, you've got guys like Kincaid who are probably fine. Jonas Smith's the guy who's fine. You can take him if you need him. But if I don't get one of those top tight ends, I'm not particularly pressed this year.
Yeah, when are you gonna have your fantasy draft, man?
So I got a few. So I should have a couple coming up in the next like month for stuff like Fantasy Sports Association. I'm actually part of one. So not this weekend, next weekend, Scott Fishbowl tournament. I don't know if you're familiar with Scott Fishbowl. It's a big charity foundation. They do drafts all over. It's a huge thing. All proceeds go to charity, and was lucky to be able to get in. It's competitive to get in. I got in this year, so I'm going to be in a draft for the Honolulu League this year. So I'm excited for that. It's in person. It's at a brewery. I got to be careful because people will be drinking beer during the draft. A couple of beers, and my later picks might not be as good as my early picks.
Well, yeah, and you don't want her to get no tattoo if you lose first, because they do that, and you don't want her to get no smash up fantasy sports.
No, no. This time next year, if I got a big fish tattooed for
Oh,
losing Scott
okay.
Fishbowl, you'll know why.
Well, the number one pick should be Jamar Chase, man, because he is a fantasy thriver, man. If you don't pick him number one, Chris, I don't know what to tell you, man. 'Cause he
No, he's
gonna get
good. I
like
think Chase
he
number
got
one
Joe
makes a lot of
Burrow throwing
sense.
him the ball.
Yeah, I mean Higgins too, right? I think that Bengals offense is gonna be running on all cylinders again. I think Higgins obviously later, right? Chase number one. Higgins is just about the best number two receiver out there. He'd be number one on a lot of teams. He's another guy I think a lot of people are sleeping on. Obviously he's had some hamstring issues in the past, but if he stays healthy, he's a guy that could finish as a top 20, top 30 player who's kind of going a little bit later right now.
Yeah, well said. What do you think about the NFL draft? Like Shadur Sanders, he falling to the fourth round, and not getting picked at all. And what do you think about the draft, the impact of fantasy with the draft that just came up?
Yeah, so obviously there's a few really good offensive players, right? I think Genty's going to step in and start with the Raiders from day one. He's electric, right? He's one of the most electric people on film. If you watch, since I'm going to go old school here, but if you ever watched, you're probably too young to have watched him live. I don't know if you've seen like old film of Reggie Bush when he was at USC. He was there right around when I was in college, and he was man, he was just he'd start running, he'd like do these spin moves, he'd like jump backwards. He was doing like Saquon moves before Saquon. He was one of the most electric college players I have ever watched play. And Jinty is up there. So I think he's gonna be really good. And I think that Vegas offense is gonna be better. They finally brought in a quarterback who will at least be better than that AOC mess, Minshew mess they had last year. They've got a couple receivers. They've got Bowers now, so I think Genty will be in line for potentially a really good year. Jenkins as well, stepping into a good situation. I think those are two of the biggest rookies for me. Sanders is interesting. I think he slipped a lot because of and he's already gotten in trouble. He's already got caught like speeding at 140 miles an hour. I think people are kind of concerned about his maturity level. He obviously has some talent, so we'll see. I do a lot with the NBA draft too, and I got to tell you, it's 50-50, right? You have some guys like Anthony Edwards who had real maturity issues in college. Day one in the pro, he gets drafted. He became like consummate professional hard worker overnight and is now one of the best players in the NBA. You see plenty of other guys who step in and just never really mature, never really put it together, which scares a lot of teams, especially the NFL, where quarterback is a centerpiece of your team.
Yeah, they be comparing Anthony Edwards to Michael Jordan, man. You know, that
well,
might, you know,
that's very flattering. I love
Jordan.
Ant. I don't know if I'll put him up there with Jordan, but he's fun to watch. He's certainly a great talent.
Well, yeah, he gonna be the face of the league. He gonna be one of the face of the league. So, what do you think about the Ace Bailey situation with Utah, man? Because that was a strange situation when you get drafted. That never happened before,
Yeah, he didn't want to go to Utah. I mean, Ace is a weird case in general. Uh, Start of the year, him and Harper were two protected two early picks for a lot of the season. People thought they might be two of the top three, but Rutgers didn't even make the didn't make the NCAA tournament. Didn't even make the NIT tournament. And it's kind of hard to justify. You have two of the top three players in college basketball and two potential NBA superstars. You can't even make the NIT tournament. I think fair or not, Harper's got a little bit of a pass. He's got a bag. He's really good getting to the hoop, really good scoring inside. Turns it over a bit too much, but the talent is really there. Ace is interesting. He plays a really important position. Very good shooter for his size. Measured a little bit smaller than I think people are hoping for. People kind of wanted him to have those like KD measurements. He, is a guy who kind of struggles to create off the dribble, which is an issue. Turns the ball over a lot as well, which is an issue. And just general processing issues, right? Both in offense and on defense. He gets lost, doesn't make good decisions, poor shot selection, partially again because he struggles to get to the hoop. And I think that scared off some teams. I think Ace, I don't know what his camp wanted. I'll say this, though. I understand why not Utah. Not a big market in terms of, marketability and, getting advertising deals. I think also if I'm Ace or if I'm his team, because he struggles to create off the dribble right now, that might come, but it might take him a couple of years. And so ideally, he would have gone to a team with strong creators who could set him up, get him the ball in a position to score. You look at the Jazz, though, and what they have Isaiah Collier. I mean, they got rid of Sexton and Clarkson, who weren't great point guards either, but kind of that's who they have flipped now. Maybe Walter Clayton might be the best kind of point guard they have at the start of next year. So if I'm Ace, I'm a little bit nervous If they give him the ball too much out of position, ask him to do too much, he might be really inefficient. And they don't really have players to put him in a position to succeed. Because that might be part of why his team wanted to get him to another team where they maybe felt like they could put him in a better position to be successful right from his rookie year.
He would have been good with Philadelphia, man. Philadelphia could have used him. He could have played with Embiid and George when they helped you, but they ain't never helped you at all. But I think Cooper Flag gonna be in the best situation because he with Dallas. You know, they got AD. You know, they got Kyrie. He gonna be coming back next year sometime, and they got Daniel Gafford. They got Lively. So I think he in the best situation. Once you say so.
Yeah, I mean, Flag, first of all, is just one of the best prospects to come out in a while. And I think he's going to be extremely good player. He's electric with the ball, too. He does everything. He's good at offense, good at defense. He can dribble, pass, shoot, score inside. Very versatile player. I think too, he's also in a good position. He can create in a way that Bailey cannot. I think he lacks a little bit of like a go-to move. I think he's so good at everything that as he adjusts to the league, he's going to be a star. But he might be a guy a little bit like Ben Carroll or Cade, who takes a year or two, has some inefficient games early, which is why going to a team like Dallas, who has some creators, I think will be good for him. He'll be able to step in, play his game. He won't have all the pressure on him from day one. But with Fight, I don't think it would matter. I think you could throw him onto a really bad team and he would still make it work. So yeah, Flag's going to be electric. Harper's a great addition for San Antonio. Edgecombe, I think, was a good pick by the 76ers. You don't want to put too much weight on Summer League. We looked really good on his first game before bruising his finger. So I think he's going to be a sensational talent there. And I will say, if the KD trade hadn't happened, I was kind of hoping that Ace would slip down to Houston. I think they would have been a really good fit for him just because they have, you know, Amen, Van Vliet. They've got a lot of guys who can create and help put him in a position to succeed. He could have come along slowly. He could have come in and shot the ball, played defense, and come along at his own pace. I thought Houston would have been the perfect team for him, but then they traded for KD. So, it's the problem with the lottery, right? A lot of the teams in the lottery are bad. And so they're not always the ideal situation for some of these players.
Yeah, but being bad don't win lottery no more. Dallas only had like a 10% chance. They had like a 2.1% chance. That's like the Bulls with Derrick Rose, and
Yeah.
and a lot of people think that it was rigged. You know.
That's it. I don't think it was actually ranked. I think, what is it? Ernest and Young, they monitor the draft and they would not want to put their entire firm and their entire reputation at risk if they lied to us. If one of the big accounting audit firms with billions and billions of dollars in revenue every year got caught lying and cheating about the draft. That would think about how Arthur Anderson went up in flames after Enron. This could nuke their entire firm. And I don't think their partnership would put the entire firm at risk just to rig the NBA draft. I think Dallas just got incredibly lucky. I think it happens, right? Because every year, almost no matter who wins, there's some reason it could be a conspiracy. So every single year, regardless of what team wins the lottery, people are like, oh, they just lost Chris Paul. That's why New Orleans won. Oh, they made this trade to the Lakers. That's why, Dallas won. Oh, this team is in a big market. That's why.
Yeah,
That's every
David
year.
Stern. You know, when David Stern vetoed the trade for Chris Paul to the Lakers, everybody's going crazy.
I remember that. It was good they did. Look, it was a dumb trade by their GM, and the NBA owned the league. They're trying to sell them, so the NBA had a reason temporarily until they got rid of the team to say, no, we're not going to like let you get rid of our one marketable player and major trade asset for a bunch of mediocre parts.
Well said. What do you think about the NBA free agency, man? Like from fantasy standpoint, and who you think got better and who you think got worse?
It's interesting. I think a whole lot of teams got worse. I mean, the poor Bucks, they lost Dame. Dame has been phenomenal for them. I love the addition of Miles Turner. He's the perfect center for Giannis and for that roster. He's a unicorn. He's a better version of what they had in Brook Lopez. Brook obviously got a little long in the tooth, so I think that's a little bit rough for them. We're kind of saying free agency, but some of his trades, I think that Miami, I like their acquisition of Norm Powell, and like the Clippers in that trade, bringing in John Collins. He's a guy who's languished on like Utah keeps trying to tank. So they keep like making all their veterans sit. So Collins has kind of been wasting away in Utah, but he's another guy who can shoot and play some D, and I think will fit, be another weapon to fit alongside Kawhi and James Harden really well, and Brook Lopez too. Lopez again getting a little old, not really the starter you want to play 30 minutes a game, but coming off the bench, Ben Zubac I think is a really really good fit for him, and he makes a really strong bench for LA.
Yeah, what do you think about the Jokic situation? Because Jokic, he said he's not signing an extension to next year. What do you think about
But
that and everything? And
I
also
think
the LeBron,
it's
and also the LeBron James situation with the Lakers, because everybody was saying he may opt out, and all type of stuff with that, he may want to trade.
yeah. So let's go one at a time. So I'm not concerned about the Jokic situation. Again, Denver improved themselves, right? I think Porter's I mean, Porter's a good player, right? He's a dynamic player. But I think Cam Johnson's a better fit for the team. Save them some money. They've been able to go spend on other players. I think so. I think this is good for Denver. I don't think Jokic is looking to leave, just based on the timing. If he waits till next year, he can get an extra $40 million in his contract. I don't blame him. If I can make $40 million waiting one more year to sign a contract, I would probably wait as well. Especially it's not his first contract, so he's made money. He's got money in the bank. He gets 40 million more if he waits 1 year. LeBron's more interesting. I don't think he'll try to force a trade this year. In LA, he can win. He loves LA. He gets to play with his kid. I think as long as they have Bronny, I think LeBron likes that dynamic. I do think the thing though is that he's always been the 1A. And it's kind of interesting. There's two types of players that get older in the NBA or stars. Some guys like Kobe have to be the man, right? Kobe was never, I know when Kobe's starting to get old, there's some speculation. Wow, what if Kobe went to like the Warriors and you know, played like a Manu role, came off the bench, but closed with the team. Could he like win another ring and win with like Steph? That was never Kobe's personality, right? Kobe would never do that. He was the man on the Lakers until he retired. He was just never going to be number two. Where some guys they're fine with that, right? Some guys are like, even look at a guy like Russell Westbrook, right? He's been fine coming off the bench. He's been fine actually just playing a role, trying to win, trying to stay in the league. Vince Carter, same thing. So we got to find out who LeBron is. He's starting to get a little older. Still an absolutely great player. I don't know if he's the guy who's going to be the best player on a championship team right now. So he's got Luka. Luka, this is the first time in LeBron's career he might not be the best player on his own team. And so how he adapts to that, how he's willing to fit in, and what he's willing to sacrifice to win, I think is going to be the big story for the Lakers this year.
Well, I think that he was talking about ring chasing, but he always have chased the rings. He went to Miami with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, and
Yep.
he was talking about Moses Malone. He was talking about Moses Malone and everything with the Jazz and talking about ring chasing. But he went to Cleveland and he teamed up with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. Kevin Love that's got traded to Utah, and they probably gonna buy him out, like you were saying earlier. They want to get rid of veterans. So, he always ring chasing and everything, I think he cried too much to be honest. His defense is not that good anymore. And I think that he should have took a pay cut. If you taking $52 million, what he gonna get paid this year, how's that gonna help your team win it? Tom Brady always took a pay cut so his team could win.
Well,
So
Tom
how
Brady took a pay cut, but they also like invested in his company. Like there's a little bit of shadiness there with how the Patriots operate, right? Like Kraft put millions and millions of dollars into Brady's company. He has they've got a whole Brady athletic training facility there. So yeah, it's a little shady what Brady did. I don't know how much of a team player he was versus a wink wink deal, but yeah, it's hard. I mean, I get it on both sides, right? If LeBron was willing to take less salary, he makes so much in endorsements, the Lakers could bring in more talent. On the other hand, listen, man, I don't blame him, right? I'm always pro worker. So, like, LeBron's still a worker, right? He's still out there. He's still earning money. He doesn't own the team. So he's got a chance to make $50 million. Go make your money. Get paid, LeBron. I'm
Well,
on your side.
They made it well said, Chris. They made a good move with the DeAndre Ayton move. You know, he could put up a double double. He was like the best center on the market. So I think, but the key for the Lakers is Doncic. If he get in shape and he play like and his play do not drop off, then they got a top two player in the league. Because you know, Jokic is the best player in the NBA, regardless if it's St. Louis or win. But I think
Well,
Doncic is
him or Shy.
key.
Shy's up there too. Let's not
Well,
disrespect
Shea,
Shy.
yeah, Shea. Well, yeah, Shea won the championship last like Denver. He got to win more in order to be considered in that ballpark, you know. Because, you know, they're a small market team, you know. He got to win one more, though. If he win next year, Shea will be up there in the conversation.
I won't be surprised. I mean, that team is young. They're talented. Sam Presti's the guy I just have the utmost respect for. Like the way he's built the Thunder, the flexibility, the youth, the way he's stockpiled assets. Like they're a team that is positioned to be a dynasty. Even as they start losing some role players, I think Presti learned a bit from when he had Katie, Harden, Ibaka, and Westbrook, and they sacrificed Westbrook for Ibaka. I think he said, okay, that was a mistake. He sees where the league is now, and I think he has positioned this team for the long run. And I think that it is Sam Presti's league, and I think every other GM right now is trying to play catch up.
Well, I don't think nobody beating Oklahoma City out the West next year because guess what? They just signed Chet Holmgren to a rookie deal, so they're gonna be able to keep all their players. They probably gonna lose people 2 years from them, but they got Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso won a championship with the Lakers. That's what the Lakers been missing. They've been missing Alex Caruso, you know. They should have kept him on the team and everything, you know. When he left, that's when they defense dropped off.
Yeah, toughness and defense. I think if you look at what Presti does too, he's got a lineup all the way around where every single player can not only plays defense, but can shoot, pass, and dribble. I think the other thing he learned from those old teams was they had guys like Andre Roberson who were specialists who like played good defense but couldn't shoot. And that worked in the regular season. Once you got to the playoffs against another really good team like the Warriors would just take Roberson's man or Kendrick Perkins' man and let them be a free safety, right? They'd roam, they'd double Durant, they make life difficult for the Thunder. And I think this time Presti is very intentionally built with no specialists in the main rotation. Off the bench, they got a couple guys like ninth, 10th men who work specialists. Like they have some on the bench who can come in and use a skill. But if you look at the people they rely on, they're people who are good at everything so that you can't double off them and go, run over to the star because those role players have no weaknesses. And I think that they're not great at everything, right? There's trade-offs. They don't have the elite skill. They don't have that JJ Redick who's just an elite shooter, but you can't chase them off the line. Otherwise, they can drive to the hole, score, pass. And I think that's been a huge part of what Presti has built. And to a lesser degree, is something that the Pacers were pretty good at last year, too. And I think the era of specialists may be coming to an end if teams start copying what the Thunder have done. Meanwhile, you look at the Lakers, they're running guys out there like Jackson Hayes who were limited. And I think that's something they're going to have to improve this year.
Well, that's why they got Aiden, but I don't think the Lakers going nowhere anyway, man. I don't think James won the championship with the Lakers anyway. I think he gonna have to go to another team. He should. That the thing is the West stacked, so I think everybody should try to come to the East. That's why I don't
They
understand
need
why
to.
Kevin Durant did not come to Miami. Because the East is wide open. Like, let's start talking about the injuries to the East. You got Jason Tatum. He got for the season torn ACL. You got Tyrese Halliburton torn ACL with the Pacers, and you got Damian Lillard out, and he just got weighed and everything. So, what do you think about the East and the ramifications of all these injuries?
Yeah, it seems like the new term in the NBA this year is like gap year. A lot of teams are like, it's a gap year for us. We're going to take it off. And I think this is an incredibly deep, at least at the top. I mean, there are several potential stars in this year's NBA draft. Well, we'll see. Once the college and the FIBA season start, we'll see if some of them disappoint. But this looks like this could be a really, really good draft at the top. So I would not be surprised to see some teams like the Pacers get 30, 40 years into the game, into the season, and suddenly Siakam has hamstring issues and stops playing. You may see a few teams these try to tank for a year, pick up some good players. What that means, though, is teams like the Knicks. This could be their season. They were really close last year. Got rid of Thibodeau, brought in Mike Brown, who I've got a lot of respect for. And with the Pacers out, with the Celtics maybe being a little gimpy, and who knows, Stevens might wave the white flag at some point, and have Jaylen Brown with hamstring issues as well. I don't know. I still think the Celtics have a lot of talent. They may try to compete, but this could be the year that the Knicks finally break through.
I think it's gonna be like Oklahoma City in the field, like Tiger Woods in golf. That's how I think it's probably gonna go this year again. I
Well,
think
don't
Oklahoma
underestimate
City gonna
Denver.
be
Denver
repeat
took them to
champions.
7 games, and they upgraded their roster. So I think it comes down to them in Denver and the West. I think Golden State's still a
What
couple
about
steps behind.
Houston? What about Houston?
They're good. I think they can make a leap, right? They have a lot of talent. As they say, they're still
And
young,
they
but
was
I
the
actually still
they
look
was they was number two in defense last year in the NBA.
and
And
added
they
KD.
got Kevin Durant. They needed leadership because they got rid of Green. They got rid of Brooks, but they saying they saying they saying Dorian Finney-Smith that played for the Lakers and everything, and he was the best player they had last year. And they got Clint Capella and everything, so they gonna have the size. I don't think Denver's still gonna have the depth. That's the problem with Denver. I think that the depth still gonna be a problem. Bruce Brown, he up in age. Jokic can't do everything on his own. They still don't have a bench. They don't got no KCP over there no more.
Well, I think their bench is better this year. Their bench was awful last year. They probably had the worst bench in the playoffs, right? Minnesota was competing a little bit too. They had a couple players and their depth fell off, but Denver last year, I mean, their bench was basically, I mean, Russ, who was okay, and they're bringing like Peyton Watson, Zeke Naji, like DeAndre Jordan, still from It was pretty bad. Now they've obviously brought in like Valanciunas, who we'll see. He's talking about going to Greece, but they haven't let him out of his contract. Um, Bruce Brown, like it would be hard for their bench to be worse. I think they have a little bit more depth this season. I also think they're not done building that, right? Part of why they want to save money, part of why they made the Porter Cam Johnson deal was to because Cam makes less. So is their opportunity to like shave some money off their cap and use that to try to bring in some players, I think, to for depth. Because I think that's what kind of where they ran into trouble in the playoffs. They're great when their stars were on the court. They actually kind of outplayed Oklahoma City. When Jokic was on the court, and Jamal Murray were on the court, as soon as they were off, it was just a disaster every single time.
Well said, Chris, man. It was a pleasure having you on today, man. And come back again, man.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. John, thank you for having me on the show, and we'll look forward to being back on soon.
Yeah, and also subscribe to my channel, people. Let's get me 500 subscribers by this year, man. Come on, man. Come on,
Yeah, if you're not, if
fans.
you're not subscribing to this
I'm giving y'all
podcast
good
yet,
content, so help a brother out, man.
awesome. Dion, appreciate it, man. You have a good evening.
You too.
All right. Bye.